have such sights to show you.
You are all going to die tonight.
Good evening, my sweet tortured souls, and welcome to another episode of Miss Violet's Underworld, Deeper and Darker. Joining me, as always, is the speaker, Mr. Jimmy Clifford. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Still working on that puzzle box and its location.
Out, you're never gonna get out. Told you this. Once you're in, you don't get out. It's like one of those roach motels. Once you go in, you don't come out.
Might be the Hotel California.
Or a waiting line at Alton Towers.
Yeah, you turn waiting line.
Once you get in, you're never getting out again. But anyway, on tonight's episode, we're talking monster mashups. But before all of that, we're going to jump over to the comment section and listen to the screams of my sweet tortured souls in the form of a comment from the man, the myth, the beard, Agent JK47, the Ginger Ninja JK. And his comment this week says, sorry, I can't read that for a moment. My brain's just frazzled.
Brain freeze. Technical difficulties.
Movie you are thinking of, Full Eclipse from 1993 and directed by Anthony Hickox, starring Mario Van Peebles, Bruce Pine, and Patsy Kensit. Yes, that was the one I was thinking of. And judging by the way you kind of presented that, you've seen it and you're not a fan either. So continuing on, Dracula, Gary Oldman, question mark. Enough said. Absolutely adore it. Saw it in the cinema and don't mind the accent from Keanu. It's Keanu being British.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and it shows.
To an extent, yes. I will agree with that comment. Interview with the Vampire, great movie, greater book. Told you. And I read the entire series, which was exceptional. I got a certain distance into it, and then life events happened, and I couldn't get much further because I didn't have to sit and read the books. So I got up to I can't remember which one it's called now.
Life events happened and she's forgotten.
It's been a long time. I mean, this was like my college years, so it was a very long time ago. You know, back when my horns were like here, not down here.
Back when you were
Shorter
studying
horns, when I had shorter horns and longer hair. You know, back in my wild days. But anyway, continuing on. But honestly, it's like, did I jump forward there? No, I didn't. I was in the right spot. I'm having a bad day today, folks. I do.
That's what she said.
But honestly, I don't compare the two. I can't help it. Like I said in the episode, I've watched Interview with the Vampire so many times that I can't help it now. It's just in there.
Yeah.
You know, they are both as good as they can be in their respective media. Tangent and Sort. What of the sequel, Queen of the Damned? I have seen that. It has a good soundtrack. That is all I can say that is good about it.
I have perused it. It was a film I came across. I think I've only watched bits and bobs of it. It has a cracking soundtrack.
The thing that bugs me, this is the thing that bugs me. It's not entirely Queen of the Damned. It takes a lot from the book The Vampire Lestat. So they sort of took two books and kind of pushed them in together as one. The thing I don't like, and it's a massive disconnect from the story from my point of view, is because there's no returning cast. Tom Cruise is not in this film playing Lestat.
Brad's not there.
Everyone is recast, and they look different, but closer somehow to the book interpretations of them. So for me, you see the characters one way in one film, and then in the very next film, they look completely different.
Yeah.
Not even to the point where they tried to sort of match it up and get a look alike. Like Armand, as I said in the book, is described with blonde hair. In this film, he has blonde hair.
Yeah,
So there's this big disconnect between the first and the second one. If it's
yeah.
meant to be a sequel, I prefer
Like
to
he went off and dyed his hair and changed his face.
I prefer to think of Queen of the Damned as its own adaptation of a different book. It's not necessarily a sequel. Because, like I said, there's no returning cast, there's no real returning characters. So, for me, I mean, well, there is returning characters from the vampire side of things, but there's no human returning. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not a great film. If you've never seen it, give it a watch.
I've only
So you can
perused
say you've
it.
watched it, but that's
Yeah,
about
I've only perused it, hence, I like Static X and Disturbed anyway, so I know they're on the soundtrack, and it's a good soundtrack.
yes.
And my sister, who did a lot more reading than me, I think she actually had read the books and did say the Queen of the Damn book is a hell of a lot more better, and this film seems to be more Lestat. So she echoes your thoughts, I believe. I think it was my sister, at least.
Anyway, moving on. The Lost Boys. I love this one. So much fun and horror combined damn near perfectly. Yes. Very dark humor when there is humor. Awesome cast and just again, damn near perfect. Yes, the sequels are not great, but at least one of them has a cameo from Tom Savini. I mean, I might watch that clip, but I'm not going to put myself through the film. Sorry, I'm just not. I
To
mean,
put the top
I haven't
of
even.
quickly
I've
should
only
do
ever.
a lot of Tom
I've only
Savini.
ever seen half an hour of the follow up, one of the follow
Yeah.
ups, and I was like, this is not
No,
what I
no.
thought it would be as a sequel. It's not what I wanted from a sequel, and I just could not get into it. So it was one of those films that, thank God, it was on in the background at a friend's house so that I could get up and fucking leave. I didn't pay to go to the cinema to watch it because it didn't come out in cinema. It was a straight to DVD release. That should tell you everything. But moving on, 30 Days of Night. Brilliant, brutal, and bloody. Say no more. This is simply savage and intense on a level you don't see too often, especially today, in today's cinema.
Yeah.
Post 2000s, you don't see that level of brutality in a lot of
No.
mainstream films. A lot of mainstream films will imply it or cut away from it or use special, clever little camera angles to hide it.
Yeah.
This film was, when it showed the gore, it wanted you to see the
What
gore.
was that?
Um,
Very good
and
film.
there are sequels to this, but skip them. See now, Jimmy, I have told you,
I've been told twice.
you've been told by me, you've been told by JK. How many more people do you need to tell you not to?
I may very well go to the graphic novels with it then.
Yeah,
In
honestly,
that way, I can scrub. I can imagine there are no sequels. It's a standalone film, and it's based on the graphic novel.
yes. Yes, well, I mean, with the way it ended for me, that was the perfect ending because it
Yeah,
can be a standalone film. You don't have to bother with the
yeah.
sequel. So, but can't wait till next week as I am interested to hear the monster mashups. Dot 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 dot. The Monster Squad, I hope, question mark. Well, JK, you're just gonna have to wait and see. And speaking of which, because that's the only comment from this week's episode, Tony, you're slacking again.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump
Okay.
straight into the monster mashup that we're doing tonight. I've lost my mouse cursor. There you are. Thank you. We're professionals, people. We really are.
Yeah.
Up,
Total.
up first on our monster mashup for this episode, we're going to jump back to 2004, May 7th, 2004, to be precise. A certain buff Australian actor was in high demand thanks to his appearance in a certain X franchise. And riding the coattails of that, he went on to star in our first monster mashup pick, featuring Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and a few other things. We're talking the Hugh Jackman starring Van Helsing. This film had a budget of 160 to 170 million, and its box office take was 300.2 million. So we're going to kick this off because this one is a rare one for us where both of us have seen this before covering.
Professions with Jimmy have happened a bit early. And
Yes.
also, Hugh Jackman is not to be confused with his stunt double, Huge Jacked Man.
Oh, Void, please give me the strength to deal with this.
The other wonderful lady, Kate Beckinsale, whose
Yeah,
three stunts
Kate
was a Kate Beckinsale.
Right.
She does
Okay.
water scenes.
Okay. Right. So, you might not know, the plot of this movie follows, of course, Van Helsing, played by Hugh Jackman, who is in. I was going to say insomniac. He's not a fucking insomniac. He's an amnesiac.
um, I thought you
He's a
suffered
fucking
that.
insomniac. I haven't slept
Oh
in
dear.
days.
Have I put you off?
Push.
Managed to do that.
Right. He is an amnesiac monster hunter that works for the Vatican. They have been contacted by the last surviving member of a family of gypsies who swore that they would never enter the gates of heaven until Dracula was slain. So he is sent to go and do this. And along the way, he takes a friar with him who, do you know what? Right, this little bit of trivia, tangent slightly here. It took me about 15 viewings of this film to realize that the friar in this is Faramir in Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Took me 2 viewings.
He was one of those, you know what I mean? He's one of those actors that I was sat there every time watching it. I know him from.
I know him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I know you from something. What have you been in?
Faramir.
But yes, this film follows Van Helsing's adventures in Transylvania as he takes down the aforementioned monsters, starting with the werewolf, dealing with Frankenstein's monster, whether he's good, whether he's evil, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole morality thing there.
Yeah. I mean, technically, it starts with Jekyll and Hyde.
I will say, yes, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde do make a brief appearance at the beginning with a rather comical kind of fight sequence, the bit where he cuts the hole in the floor but then hides in the bell.
Yeah, he does the Jedi trick.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit Tom and Jerry, but it kind of worked. Again, I will say this film is a product of its time. It's got that early 2000s overemphasis on things a little bit.
We'll get to that.
We'll get more into that as we talk about this as we're going along. But yeah, basically the story is it's his attempt to stop Dracula as he finds a way to bring his undead children to full life. And yeah, not going to spoil too much, not going to spoil the ending of the film. Jimmy, let's jump it over to you because I'm hosting. You can go first. Your thoughts on a Van Helsing from viewing it previously to viewing it again in. We'll do this for this one because we've both seen this previously.
Yeah. Confessions with Jimmy. This one's one I've actually seen.
Wait. So what we'll do for this one film, because this was a previously viewed, thoughts on first viewing compared to viewing it again in 2025. So Jimmy, you go first. First impressions.
My first viewing was at the cinema in Burton.
Same.
Right. So, and I went and saw this with a couple of friends I was hanging out with. However, 2004, I was much younger.
As we were.
I'm much younger. I went and saw it with friends, and at the time, thought it was a fantastic, great film. It was like, brilliant film, brilliantly done, good story,
good action.
Good story. Got we'll get to this a bit later. We'd got a star who had just starred in a Marvel film not long ago, who then turned up and he's starting to do other things. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. Viewing it in 2025.
Yes.
So this film came out in 2004. We're now 21 years down the line.
Yes. And this is my
It's not
problem with the
aged.
film.
It is not aged well.
And I'm going to jump in here. And I'm because we agreed upon this when we were talking about this.
Yeah, we did. It's a CGI extravaganza, isn't it?
It's the CGI that has aged very, very poorly with
Yeah.
this film, folks. Um, at the time, my first viewing upon it going to the cinema, I
Yeah.
loved it. I was a big fan of Hugh Jackman. I loved him as Wolverine, so that was the appeal for me. Kate Beckinsale was in it, and she'd recently been in the Underworld film, so it was like, oh, we've got two great
Two
action,
colours.
comic booky action stars coming
Yeah,
together for this film. It's going to be really good. And at the time, like
it
2004,
was.
it was really good. I came out of there like, oh, that was brilliant. The action was great, the romance, the twists and everything. Oh, wow, brilliant. Watching it in 2025, though, and I don't know whether, and I said this to you myself, I don't know whether it's because I've become slightly more critical of films over the years when it comes to
Yeah.
CGI. This for me, as soon as that CGI come up, okay, the opening, and we both agreed upon this as
We
well.
agree. The black and white opening.
And it starts like an old Universal monster movie where it's black and white and everything. The CGI, it's not bad. It's noticeable, but because there's no color to it, you kind of lose it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it fades into color.
Yes.
And this is where the problem begins. From the first moment I saw these CGI shots, Mr. Hyde in particular,
Yeah.
watching it in 2025, I was like, that's not as good as I remember it being. And I kept having that feeling all through the film. Every moment, like the werewolf transformation, Dracula's transformation into his true form. Every time I watched it, I was like, that does not look
That's
good.
not
That
well.
does not look good. I mean,
That's compared to things we have spoke about on this that are older by a
yes,
country mile.
it's not just that, right? And I know I'm going to feel like a bit of a heathen for saying this, but I know I ride Disney's coattails a little bit, saying, "Look, stop with the CGI bullshit. You know, it's overdone." The thing is, though, if you go back and watch a film like this one from 2004, where it isn't a CGI extravaganza, and then you compare it to a Marvel movie that came out last year, yes, CGI's come a long, long way. Long, long way. And I mean, the fight at the end between Van Helsing and Dracula, for me, and I said this yesterday, no, sorry, Friday,
Yeah.
wasn't for the physical set that these two CGI characters were bouncing around in and things were getting knocked over and explosions were going off. If it wasn't for that background, I would have thought it was a clip from a tie-in video game. I really would have. Not like a PlayStation 3 tie-in game. The graphics were good, but compared to what we've seen since with like the likes of Marvel, it does not hold up. And even more fucked up thing is, you go back just 10 years, Terminator 2, which used a combination of practical and digital effects to do the T1000 and whatnot. That still holds up, whereas a film from later does not for me.
Yes.
So I was definitely like, I didn't enjoy watching it in 2020. It just, the CGI just took too far out of it. I was like,
I still enjoyed it for the story that it's got.
Story is still good.
You know,
it just took me to the
CGI does take it out of it.
I keep going to say bad CGI. It's not. At the time, this was a big budget.
No, it's top of the line CGI at the time.
Yeah.
I think the thing and the problem is like
we've seen better since. That's the problem.
Yeah, I feel like Terminator 2, like you said, it's using something like a combo. It's using the top end CGI that it's got at the time, but it's still stuck, and certain things need that practical. So you're touching it up. By this point in time, the films are starting to go, oh, we can do that in post edit with the CGI, right? And they're relying entirely on it. So at the time of release, yeah, it looks fantastic. You date it by what is now 21 years.
Yeah.
And a film like Terminator 2 holds up better because of the practicality of it, and it's a touch up. Yeah. This one is relying entirely on the CGI, and because the CGI doesn't hold up,
It lets
it
the rest of the film
distracts.
down. It lets
It
the rest.
goes the other way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the next film that we're going to talk about, right? This is mostly practical effects, and
Yeah,
I can still go back and watch our next pick multiple times and
yeah,
enjoy it every single time. Whereas Van Helsing, I haven't watched it in a very long time. So going back and watching it in
yeah.
2025, like I said, it just the CGI is not dated great. The story's still there, don't get me wrong, and the
Yeah.
physical, the
It's
physic,
still a good film to watch in
the,
2025.
the physical stunts that they do are very impressive. The wire work and all that kind of stuff. You know what went into the fight scenes. They're very
Yeah,
good. But when you realize that, they're actually fighting against nothing, when they were filming it, it's like now they're up there, now they're over there, shoot up here, shoot up there. They're not actually fighting against anything. And
yeah.
knowing this, retrospectively
It's
after the films come out,
in
it's
this film, it seems specifically, I noticed it when it's scenes like you discuss, where they're up there, they're up there, and it's like they're going to end up pointing and telling them where. And it's things like with the brides. The brides are really noticeable.
that's going to get to my next problem, but that is a problem I've held for a very long time. I get the CGI going from human form to vampire form, and the vampire
Yeah,
form is motion captured, but it's still CGI.
yeah,
The thing that's always bugged me about this film is when any other vampires transform into their vampiric form, they've got no clothes on. But when
yeah,
they transform back into their human form, they're fully dressed, especially Dracula. That elaborate fucking suit and everything, as cool as it is. That
yeah.
elaborate suit that he's wearing, when he turns into his vampire form, that kind of morphs into it as well. Which raises the question for me: are their clothes part of their skin?
And therefore,
Clothes
are they
part
just
of
walking
it?
around naked?
Yeah, are they technically all vampires walking around naked? They just made their skin look like clothing. It
Yeah,
raises too many questions on a repeated viewing. Like, wait a minute, why do their
yeah.
wings and stuff turn into the fluffy parts of their
Yeah,
outfits that are
this is
attached?
one of these. It's
What?
enjoy
Is
if
it
you like.
magic? Is it magic? What?
Yeah,
There's
if
no
you like
explanation
and
for
it's a first or a second viewing in 2025, a first or a second, like you've left along, like I have. You watched it in 2004. Now you're watching it again for the first time in 2025. It's a good. It'll hold up and it'll hold entertainment, and it's a good film.
yeah. Or
If you start watching it on multiple, starting to get into the
rewatches, yeah.
threes, the fours, and so forth, then you're going to start questioning certain things that turn up with the film.
Certain logics and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, would I recommend this film in 2025? If you've never seen it, yes. If you've seen it once or twice before and you can't really remember much about it and you think, oh, maybe I'll go check it out, Tony, then
Maybe not.
maybe that's a maybe. That's a
It's a
big,
maybe. I
big
believe it with
maybe
you.
for me. So we're gonna do our scores. We normally do it out of 5, like we always do here. So I'm going to give this. This is tough for me because I do enjoy the film. I'm gonna give it a 2 silver bullets out of 5. Kill me if you want, but
I
you
maybe because I've only watched it. I've watched it less. I was gonna. I'll go more with a 3.5. The 3.5 arrows.
3.5 gas powered crossbows.
Yeah,
Which
gas put. Yeah, three and a half gas powered
that's a
crossbow.
neat idea. I don't think it
No,
would.
no, it is a no. Honestly, that is one of the highlights of this film. You
I
don't
will
see.
say,
That's one thing about this film that I do like. It does use. It does rather than going through a logical leap of convolution to why a particular asset exists.
yeah,
It
it just
does,
it and here you go, run with it. I
yeah,
will
and
say
run with it.
the one thing
This one does
the one thing I
keep with it.
do, I will give it a little.
Frankenstein's good,
Oh yeah, yeah. But again,
although the Jekyll and
CGI
Hyde,
is sparing there. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is the one thing I will say is when it comes to the weapons and things like that, it's got almost that sort of clockworky steampunk aesthetic to it, like
Yeah,
the little hand swords where he literally just does that and it spins a blade. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, so like his gadgets are sort of like
yeah,
he's basically just exercising his hands, but it's spinning a blade. You can get those hand powered fans.
yeah,
This
yeah. Hand powered. Yeah, they're effectively like hand powered fans.
yeah, and I was like,
Yeah,
I kind of like the technology that was in this film. I like it was a cool.
I feel that they may have taken some things from another film that's not really horror, and that's Wild Wild West with that one.
A little bit. But moving this monster mashup party along, we're going to jump to our next film because although we only have three films tonight, one of them is a wild card. We will explain that in a little bit.
Yes.
But up next, if I can find it to the right part to scroll, released August 14th, 1987.
AK should know now. He's got a crystal ball.
Yes. With a this saddens me. With a budget of 14 million and a box office of just 3.8 million, we have the unfortunate box office flop that became quite literally the cultist of cult classics, The Monster Squad.
Yeah.
This film is absolute 80s nostalgia cheese at this point. But
Yeah.
that is why, if you have never seen this film and you are a fan of Stranger Things,
Definitely.
you will love this film because it's like the blueprints and the DNA for Stranger Things are there in this
After
film.
research, we've discovered that this is basically the blueprint for Stranger Things.
Yes, but the story of the Monster Squad is set in 1987. The film starts 100 years ago from 1987, so 1887. Van Helsing is trying to kill Dracula by using this gem that repels evil to open a vortex and send them through it so they'll be banished forever.
Sending them to you, the void.
Yes, and I love the text crawl at the beginning because it opens straight away with a fucking joke. It's got this really serious block of text. Now, they tried to stop Dracula, and then it gives a gap, and then they blew it.
Yeah. No, that is good. I feel like in the 87, it's taking a little bit of tongue in cheek at Star Wars.
It's like, it's like, here's a text crawl that's dead serious, and then just they blew it. I love the way it's like, yeah, start the joke. Jump forward to present day, 1987. Dracula is back. He's trying to get hold of this amulet because if he can shatter it, evil will take over the world. To help him in this quest, he has employed some old friends in the form of the Mummy, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and making a rare appearance, the creature from the Black Lagoon, more commonly known as Gillman.
Not to be confused with Swamp Thing. And there you go.
The plot then focuses on a group of children who are obsessed with monsters. They have a little tree house where they hold this thing called the Monster Club. Somehow, from a garage sale, one of the young boys manages to get hold of Van Helsing's diary. And through other plot conveniences, a scary German guy, they translate the book and realize that all of this is about to happen in their town. Dracula is here. All hell is about to break loose. And as the trailer says, you know who to call when you have ghosts. Who do you call when you have monsters? The Monster Squad.
The Squad.
And it is basically a bunch of slightly preteens, maybe teenagers. It doesn't quite, I don't think it states their ages. It's very, nah.
Vague on that one.
It leaves
kids, though.
It leaves it up to the kids to fight the monsters and save the world. And this was written by Shane Black and Fred Dekker and directed by Fred Dekker. And if you know your 80s movies at all, you will recognize the name Fred Dekker and Shane Black, i.e. Predator.
Yeah. Or if you're a Trekkie, he did do 3 episodes of Enterprise. So
there we go. So yes, I grew up with this film. I absolutely love this fucking film. So throwing it over to you, Jimmy. You kind of have mixed memories about this one because you didn't think you'd seen it. Turns out,
this is
turns out it was on in the
Confessions
background
with
while
Jimmy for the second time tonight.
turns out this was on in the background while Jimmy was taking a shit on his potty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would be the technical. Well, let's do it that way. Confessions with Jimmy for the second time tonight. I would have been somewhere between the ages of 5 and 6 at the time of my technical first viewing. Back somewhere in the region of between 89 and 91.
So you were very, very young when this film came out. So you can't really remember seeing it. So let's just classify this as a
No.
first viewing in
So my
2025.
real first viewing as an adult in 2025, and maybe some of my comments are going to be gleaned through that childlike eyes of now I know where I've seen this or seen
Yes.
scenes from this. It was a wonderful, entertaining, brilliantly aged film for its time. And like we discussed, this is the blueprint to one of my favorite series of
Yeah.
the now 2020s have been Stranger Things, of course. It's the blueprint for it.
Yeah.
So it's a very good film. It's very well done. The practical effects,
Oh, they
and
still.
I'm starting to understand the comments now. Much more practical effects. They age a lot better. This film's still
They're done right.
viewable at
They
this
age
point.
brilliantly. Practical. This is
I'm
practical effects. When they're done right, it doesn't matter how old that film gets.
doesn't.
They still
Yeah,
look good. I mean,
yeah.
Predator.
I mean, I I
Imagine.
can understand. I can understand why this film, as daft as it is, in a lot of 80s films, the aforementioned Terminator 2 and Terminator 1, they were 18s. They're now 15s.
This one's kept its rating.
This one's kept its rating at the 15. And I can see why, because they used a similar practical effect for the werewolf transformation
I
from
love.
American Werewolf.
You only really fully see it once, but it's very, very well done.
It's very well done. And especially in this particular sort of film,
And you also see
it,
the transformations of Dracula between human form and bat form, and he goes from bat back to human right at the beginning of the film. They show
again,
practical effects showcase straight off the bat.
again with that,
No,
but
no
also
pun intended there.
more little bit of research and Trek knowledge. If you like Trek, the guy who played Dracula, which was Duncan Regar, I believe his name is. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's also in Star Trek, and you might be familiar if you're familiar with DS9. He played Shakar, but he also before that was in TNG and played on a god awful episode, Sub Rosa, with Beverly Crusher as a vampiric entity green ghost thing. It's the one where Beverly Crusher has ghost sex.
Lovely.
So
And for
yeah,
another
there's
little bit
that.
of trivia, the guy who plays Frankenstein's monster in this movie also played Kane in RoboCop 2.
There you go.
Oh,
And the
and,
right, as we said, the
and
director.
wait, and one last bit of trivia as well. He also played the Ripper alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger in Last Action Hero. So there you go. But yeah, this film, Jimmy, what
This film,
can you say about it?
what more can I say? But it's a good film. It's a great film. This is a good film to put on in the run up to a Stranger Things marathon. It's a good film to put on right before Halloween, like we've mentioned with some others previous. And it's with the age of it now, I could see, although it's a 15, you could get away with your 12-year-old, your 13-year-old. Could get away with that easily.
Not too
You know,
many,
it's a good.
not too many films from that time period that you could get away with showing to younger children.
No, there's not.
Anyone under the age of like 16.
Yeah,
There's certain
for
films from the
like
90s
introducing
that I just
kids to
wouldn't bother.
horror, this was like for introducing kids to a sort of a horror aspect.
Yeah.
This one's pretty damn good,
You know what? My parents kind of used to do this with me back in the day if I was like ill from school or whatnot. Because we'd recorded these off of the TV, they were back to back on a tape. So I ended up always with a double bill of The Goonies and this. So they're kind of hand in hand in different genres. Like the Goonies is about a bunch of kids that go on an adventure to find treasure. The Monster Squad is about a bunch of kids who team up to fight a bunch of monsters.
Yeah.
The premises are very different, but the ideas are kind of the same, that it's left down to the kids to save the day.
It's like the kids are trying to say, and that's and
overarching
yeah,
thing with it.
it's like yeah, and this is why these films are probably that like they're blueprints and they're heavily referenced for Stranger Things. Like now, it's like if you don't want your kids watching Stranger Things straight off the bat,
Let them watch this.
yeah, go back to something like this. Let them watch this. See
Watch
how they
Monster
handle
Squad.
this,
Yeah, you'll get what we mean.
and that then they start, because Stranger Things you need to make a reference because they are moving now into the year of 1987, the release of this. So
Yeah,
that should be a reference.
yes. And I said this to you when we were watching it. I get why this didn't get a sequel because of
Yeah.
the box office reception to it. Not sure why it was so low. Maybe critics just didn't get it, didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah.
It should have got a sequel. And
Yeah. There
honestly,
was a sequel planned in that, and it got binned from what I found.
with Stranger Things coming to a finish, coming to a close this year.
Yeah.
It's Duffer Brothers has said season 5's the final season. That's it. There's gonna be no more after that.
No.
I think if Netflix are kind of on the ball, they will get hold of the rights for this.
Yeah.
And turn it into a TV show, because as I said to you, the way that this ends is perfect setup for a sequel.
Yeah.
It really was. And like you said, there were plans, but they got scrapped because of the dismal box office reception. But honestly, for me, this film it's a fine wine film. It seems like the older I get and the older this film gets, the more I enjoy it. Because we keep going back to this, the practical effects on
This will be one I'll rewatch definitely at some point.
the practical effects on every single monster in this, in like Dracula's different forms, when he's a bat, when he's a human, when he's kind of in between, when he crash lands through the window and stuff. The fact that they used a slice of garlic pizza to burn his face. And
Dracula defeated by kids and a garlic slice of pizza.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention my favorite fucking moment of the movie. Wolfman jumps out in between two of the kids.
Yeah.
Kick him in the nods. Kick him in the nods. Wolfman don't got nods. Just do it. Boom. Wolfman's got nods.
Yeah.
That's me. Oh, and hey, way to go, fat kid. My name is Horace.
Yeah.
Fucking, I love that fat kid.
The fact that fat kid is not a blessing at all, is it? He's not just fat. He's named Horace.
Yeah, like his parents hated him. They must have fucking hated him. It's like, oh, he's the one we didn't want.
From the beginning.
He's the one we didn't want. We'll make him fat and call him Horace. Double bully, fucking. But to me, this film is it's pure 80s. It's enjoyable 80s, and like we keep saying, if you are a fan of Stranger Things and you've never watched Monster Squad, please go back and watch it, because you will see where Stranger Things got not all of its ideas, but the idea of kids being the ones that save the day. This is
definitely got that idea.
Heavy influence on Stranger Things. You really can. And I just hope that there's either a reboot or a TV series or something, because it's one of those films that, although at the time flopped hard box office wise, the love for this film. I've actually watched a documentary called Wolfman's Got Nards, and it's the lead actor who played, I think the character's name was Sean.
Yeah.
It stars him basically doing like a background and reuniting with everyone and going to a convention and everything, like an actual Monster Squad convention. And the love for this film that is out there, it is one of those cult classics. If you've never seen it, and if you've never heard of it, you've never seen it. But
it's like what happened. It's like with all the love for it, it's like what would have happened to Star Trek if it had never developed into TNG and things like it, it is, and I can absolutely understand and see why now I've viewed it and I can actually remember it this time. It is it's a very good film. It's a very good film for its time.
It is. But moving on to our next choice.
The wild card.
This one was a wild card, and I put it as a wild card purely because when I discussed it with Jimmy, I was like, I don't necessarily count this as a monster mashup per se, purely because the monster mashup part of it doesn't really happen until like the final 20 minutes.
Yeah.
For most of the film, it focuses on one particular type of monster that's doing all the main killings and everything of the group of teens. So for me, it's not really a monster mashup. It's more of a horror movie mashup. Yeah. We are going to jump back to. I haven't got a release date here. Oh, 2 seconds. April 13th, 2012. That was the United States. And budget of 30 million, box office 69.9 million. Now, this does come from the mind of Josh Whedon. I don't like to talk about that motherfucker too much. So we're just going to gloss over that fact. We're going to gloss over that fact and talk about Cabin in the Woods. Now, if you have seen this film, you will instantly know, because it's such a hard film to try and explain what it's about without spoiling it. The basic premise, much like a lot of 80s slasher films, is a group of teens jump in a camper van and decide to go out to a cabin in the woods, hence the name. And this to me it's just a love letter to 80s horror. Everything that happens in the movie is done as like a homage, a tribute, whatever you want to call it. But it sets up the idea that the reason why these things happen in horror movies is because of what's happening in this film. Like, it's more, this isn't inspired by films. Films are inspired by what's happening here.
Yeah.
So it's not until you get to the end of it that there's the big reveal of what's going on and everything. And again, I don't want to spoil it too much. But when you see all the different horror movie monsters that pop up, there are allegories for the likes of Pinhead and the Cenobites. There's a puzzle sphere instead of a puzzle cube. Instead of having pins in his head, the guy's got saw blades in his face. You know, there's a ballerina who has like 100 mouths for a fucking face. There's giant bugs like spiders. There's a merman. There's regular zombies and hillbilly zombies. There's different classifications of zombies, you know.
Yeah.
It is a monster mashup film, but for me, it wasn't really until the end. Until it got to that final 20 minutes, I was like, this is a monster mashup movie, but it's more of a horror movie homage mashup.
This film even homages, and I'm going to call it the dusk till dawn effect.
Oh yeah,
if you've never watched, this is a first time viewing guide, right? I'm watching a horror film, and so far it's unfolding like a horror film. And then all of a sudden it takes a very swift left turn, and now you've got an entirely new beast, and you're going, what?
Wait, what?
Wait, what? I was following this fine. What now? So it's a very good film for just that. And
if you've never seen it.
We didn't do. We didn't score the last film with Monster.
Oh shit, yeah, sorry.
We skipped a bit.
Monster Squad. I'm gonna give it 5. I don't think of a good reference here. 5 Wolfman nods out of 5. That's my score for Monster Squad. 5 Wolfman's got nods out of 5.
I'm going to be a bit lower. I'm going to give it 4 amulets to the void.
Oh, okay then. But right, yeah.
But that's not to hurt you.
Back to Cabin in the Woods.
Back to the Cabin in the Woods. We've got that guy from Thor.
Yes,
in this film.
Starring Chris Hemsworth. We debated this last night. It's between this film, basically, in years of release. You've got Thor, then this, then Thor 2. So I think this was in his in between, not quite fully in Marvel stage. He wasn't fully under contract at that point, but he played. It's very weird. This film subverts expectation because he's like
Totally.
it's pointed out that he is like an honor student. He's like top of the class, brain box
Yeah.
type. But then later on in the film, he's acting like the jock type.
Yeah,
But there's a reason for that, and it's explained later in the film, which we can't. This is why we can't talk about this one too much without
Honestly,
giving
you
it
don't
away.
want to talk about this one too much because this one it would spoil too many of the twists for
Yeah,
first time viewers.
yeah. So honestly, if you've never seen this film,
Give
go
it a
give it a
watch.
watch because
Yeah.
it will keep. If you've never seen it, it definitely will. Like the twists and turns and the hard lefts will make you go, "Wait a minute, this is not the film I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, if you want another reason to watch it, you've got Marcus. Is it from Marcus from Detroit?
yes, the actor who played
If you're a gamer but want to
company.
watch something horror,
Yes, there are little pop up again with this being a Josh Whedon vehicle. There are little cameos and pop up side characters who are played by actors who did appear in the Buffyverse.
yes.
So make of that what you will. maybe this is set in the Buffyverse. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But what more can we say? It's got some bloody, brutal, gory kills in it.
Yeah.
It's got a crap ton of movie references. Honestly, you could watch this multiple times and see if how many references you can
Yeah,
actually spot.
this one's got rewatch value for
Oh
just kind of,
yes,
especially without spoiling it, there's a particular scene in mind, and it's like literally it's what's on show, and you're like, if you wanted to watch it and pause it, you try to and keep pause
freeze
it,
frame it and
trying to
try to
find
figure out which
every
one's which. Yes, yes. It very
who's who.
yeah,
This has got the who's who of horror films in this.
yes, definitely, or at least references to them.
Yeah,
You know, it's one of those where you can watch it over and over and you can spot different things every time you watch it and see if you can pick up the clues that are going on in the background before
yeah,
it gets to the big reveal.
yeah.
It's like, ah.
It's not like this film didn't take just one hard left. No, it's only take the hard left and then a hard right all of a sudden.
Yeah, then it went round and roundabout, came back on itself and did the opposite. You know, it was just
It's
like,
only
what?
it Google mapped itself when Google mapped its
Yes.
dictionary.
So, like I said, I considered this one to be a wild card. It's not quite a monster mashup, in my opinion. Please, folks, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us down in the comments if you agree with me or agree with Jimmy. But I think that's about all we've got for tonight.
I think that it's a short one tonight, folks.
It's a short one tonight, but don't worry, folks, because coming up next week, seeing as it's just had the trailer drop, because it was filmed like 2 years ago, I think. It's finally got a release date for this year. The remake of The Toxic Avenger is going to be released, starring Peter Dinklage, which I'm still not sold on that casting choice, but I'm waiting to see the film before I make my final verdict.
The trailer does look rather good.
But what we're going to do is we're going to jump back in time and we're going to take a look at The Toxic Avenger, the original film from 1984, and maybe bounce through the rest of the franchise and maybe even talk about the one season wonder that was the Toxic Crusaders cartoon.
That will be pulling my childhood strings.
Yeah, same here. So then, it's time to say goodnight, Jimmy.
Good night, Jimmy.
And remember, my sweet tortured souls, if you can't be good, be twisted. Don't get mad, get sadistic.